Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently sending our space shuttle up to the Mir space station, and we're currently going for, I believe this is an inclination change, correct? Yeah, this has to be an inclination change. So we're going to warp on forward here and get ourselves that inclination change. Our big orange tank is right up here. It's got... did we burn out all the fuel, or did we ditch a tiny amount of fuel there? We may have ditched a tiny amount of fuel, but that is absolutely fine for the moment. We've got 30, 20, 10 seconds until this burn. 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. These engines are pretty powerful. No doubt about that. We might want to consider thrust limiting them, because they feel a little bit overpowerful right now. So when we move into orbital mode, we might want to consider just thrust limiting them down to 10%, because, yikes, there's a lot of thrust to weight there. No doubt about it. Probably too much thrust to weight. Okay, so we'll do something along the lines of that. We're at 0.0 degrees on the descending node, so that looks good. Now we can look for a rendezvous. So what do we got? This is exactly opposite timing. Okay, well, that's a good sign. Not really at all. So we can bring it around to here. That's pretty substantially different in terms of timing. Okay. Yep, something like this will do. Fantastic. So that's 1.9 kilometers apart. We can definitely get there with corrective steering. No problem whatsoever. So let's orient for this burn. And let's warp right on around, about 151 meters per second. And what is our relative velocity going to be? 165.8? Sounds good. We'll have lots of fuel. Fantastic. So we've got about 50 seconds until this burn. 40, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. This feels much better on the thrust to weight. We really don't need super high thrust to weight here. 0.45 is fine. We could go a little higher on the thrust to weight, to be honest. It doesn't need to be at 10%. Maybe something like 20% would feel a little bit better. But this is certainly an improvement over 100% thrust. 100% thrust is just way too much. An unnecessary level of thrust. So that'll be fine. After this burn, let's try bringing it up to about 20% thrust. Okay, getting this last little bit here. This is good enough. We'll put this on kill rot, and let's bump this right on up to 20% thrust. So we need to get all 3 engines up to 20%. There we go. And at this point, we can see that we are 2.1 kilometers apart. That's fine. We're going to warp on up over this direction. And we're, of course, going to need to do a corrective burn here. We're going to be going on the retrograde side. So we want to go over to relative velocity minus for the moment. Where actually is... That's probably our big orange tank there or something. Maybe not at this point. Where actually is the station? It should be out from us. Yes, there it is. Fantastic. So we are going to need to push this node off this direction a little bit. Just do a bit of corrective burning here. Something along the lines of that. And then we should probably consider dropping this speed fairly soon. That's 1 kilometer apart. Let's just warp forward about 1 minute here. And let's do a bit of corrective burn, but then we're going to have to actually do a pretty hefty brake as well. So, what direction do we need to go for corrective burn? It's down here. Gotcha. Okay, so there we go on the corrective burn. And we're currently moving in at about 100 meters per second. We're going to want to break that down pretty soon. What is our actual speed feeling like? For our... Okay, noted. For our thrust to weight is what I mean. So yeah, our thrust to weight is about 1.0, which is pretty close to where I want it to be, actually. Seems pretty solid. So for now, we're going to just let this drop under 2 kilometers, and then we'll start our braking burn. There we go. I'm going to break this down, and we could definitely do a little bit of corrective steering here. We're currently down to around 40 meters per second. And I'm going to continue to bring that down ever so slightly, down to about 30 for the moment. In fact, we can retain a burn that's kind of like this for a decent period of time here. I'm not sure where exactly we're going to be relative to the station. It looks like we want to be over here. So that's reasonably fine. Let's take this down to about 10 meters per second. There we go. And we can see that we're coming in at an interesting angle, for sure. Let's just rotate this on around to being around here. Okay, so 10 meters per second, right? So this is not going to take too much longer to get in there, but this is definitely our docking port out over here. Can we select the actual docking port at this point? Looks like we're still too far away. We can highlight it, but we can't select it. Okay. So we're coming in at this angle, and this angle is reasonable. I don't mind this angle, to be honest. So let's bring this right on in here. We'll set this Clampatron docking port as our target, and let's kill our relative speed, or at least bring it down significantly, down to around 1 meter per second for now. Okay, I think we should just directly kill it. There we go. So we're just going to do something like that. Now we want to turn basically towards target, but we don't want to go directly at the target. So that'll be interesting for sure. We want to bring this right on around, and we want to be basically out over here-ish, although maybe not this high. Down to around here or so. But for the moment, because of our tail fin, I'm going to flip us around this direction. And we're going to come in belly first, but we'll have to flip that. So for the moment, something along the lines of this. And then let's switch around to relative velocity minus. We'll have to keep an eye on our tail section and our wings. Wings are potentially a problem for us here. So we'll need to rotate this direction for right now as we head on in. Cool. And we're just going to gently, gently, gently drift in this direction. Cool. It's not going to be absolutely perfect in terms of our angling, but it'll be definitely close enough. Okay. In fact, this is maybe a little too close. Okay, let's brake. Kill rot. And now the question is, how are we going to get this rotated without clipping it with our wings? That's an interesting question indeed. We may be able to push away from this a little bit. Possibly. We're actually just slightly too close here, but let's see what happens if we do bring this around. Do we impact here? Oh, we just squeak by. That is basically perfect then. I like it. So we're going to open up our cargo bay here. And we are going to bring this target angle over. We're going to need... I don't think we actually fixed the angling here, though. That's going to be mildly awkward for us. We're going to need to bring this around to a 90-degree angle. So that needs to be sitting right there. Perfect. Then I want to rotate this guy around to a minus 180-degree angle for right now. This guy needs to be placed at a 90-degree angle. Then we extend this right on out. Now, this angling is not absolutely perfect, but that's docking forces. Okay. Yep, we're definitely seeing docking forces here. So let's rotate downward like so. And there we go. We are docked up. Fantastic. So let me just freeze physics here real quick. There we go. And just like that, we've got everybody up here. We've got 2 Soyuzes, and we've got our shuttle. Perfect. So with that all good, the next thing I want to do is I want to see about any data in our science lab here. So I'm going to drop this min science down to 0.1, and I'm going to collect any data in here that we can. Let's see. We need to review this data. We cannot process this in the lab. Noted. I guess we'll transmit it. I thought we would have been able to process it in the lab, although maybe we need to transfer a couple of scientists into the lab. Let's move Heidel. I have no idea where you are, Heidel. That's going to be potentially problematic. Let's just grab from here. Here's Heidel. Okay, so we're going to transfer Heidel over to the lab. Can we transfer to the lab, please? Apparently not. Lab? Are you in there? No, you are not. Why can't we transfer Heidel to the lab? Am I doing something wrong? Probably. Transfer crew. Heidel. Lab. No, we're just not able to transfer crew. Okay, whatever. I'm going to cancel that then. Heidel's going to EVA. We're going to do this the old-fashioned way. So Heidel, apparently you can't move around the station, but we're just going to bring you in this direction. Hopefully we don't break this solar panel. That would be mildly awkward since that's right on the airlock. We'll grab on. And we can board from here. Perfect. Okay, so that's now done. Now the question is, now that we have a scientist in there, can we grab the telescope and process that in the lab? Yes, we can. So we're going to start our research here. Fantastic. We're going to need to get a second scientist in there. There should be one in here. So who would that be? That would be Bob. Can we transfer Bob directly in? That would be nice. Yeah, Bob works to transfer over. So, okay, we've got our 2 scientists here then. Wonderful. So we're working on our science. We can also see about grabbing additional science equipment here. We've got our surface scanning module. We're too high to actually functionally utilize it. But we can open up this service bay here, and inside of this service bay, we can grab things like the mystery goo containment unit. We'll put that in the lab. We can grab the thermometer. We'll put that in the lab. We can grab, let's see, that's the atmospheric fluid spectrovariometer, which we can't do right now. What else do we have in here? We've got the barometer. So we'll log that. We'll put that into the lab. We should have the Science Junior in here as well, but we've got the seismometer. Not that we can do that. Where's the Science Junior that we brought? This is it, isn't it? No, that's the fuel tank. There is a Science Junior here somewhere. I'm pretty sure about it. Where would we have brought the Science Junior? I'm quite certain we brought one. Here it is. Okay, so we'll conduct that material study. And we'll put that in the lab as well. Then we'll do our magnetometers, which are currently extended. So I want to run the magnetometer report. We'll put that in the lab. And I want to have this continue to be extended. So we'll re-extend the boom here. Perfect. Okay, so that's quite a lot of data in the lab. 215 data. For now, of course, we can definitely run through that science. We can probably get more science out of this, but that's about all we're going to do for the time being. So let's cruise on through here. We're researching at a reasonable rate. And... oh, we popped out of this because we're over the highlands. Right. We changed biomes. So we can definitely run through this and let this science go. For the time being, we're going to let that happen. We can start pulling back some of these crews, though. This crew here does not need to be here, and we can definitely bring them back while we're working on this. We can have someone over here, and it would be Bill, would be actually transferred over to, and we'll need to move the smart ASS here. We'll have Bill be transferred over to the shuttle. Okay, it does not want to transfer Bill to the shuttle. So we're going to have Bill head on over to the shuttle. We'll have him EVA. He is going to ride back on the space shuttle. Fantastic. And of course, the station itself is... Oh, he's not turning? Okay, that's awkward. But the station itself is going to be deorbited fairly soon. But the space shuttle is now ready to go home. This Soyuz is where these two scientists are going to be intended to go. So this Soyuz can head home and the space shuttle can head home. Let's do the Soyuz first. So we're going to undock that. And we are going to go on Killrot, RCS, and we're going to just back away from the station at a reasonable rate here. And then we'll bring that right on around to retrograde. And we are clear to burn retrograde. So we are going home. We're just going to bring this down for now until it is... I mean, we know that a 10-kilometer re-entry is a reasonably safe one. We might want to do a little higher, though. Let's take this down to 70. We've got plenty of Delta V. So we're going to take this down to 70, and then we're going to go around to that periapsis, and then bring it down to 10. Okay, that'll do. That's close enough. So once we arrive at the periapsis, we're going to do a retrograde burn there, bringing the new periapsis down to 10 kilometers. That'll be absolutely okay. So something along the lines of that would do. Cool. We'll head on over to the node, and now that the station is unloaded, our frame rate has substantially increased. For the ISS, since we're going to be leaving that one in orbit, we're going to be strutting it together a little bit more so that it doesn't wiggle as much. But for Mir, I don't think that's strictly speaking necessary. So let's warp on around here. We're getting some science completed at Mir at the same time here. And that all looks absolutely great. We know that our space shuttle needs a pretty shallow re-entry. So that's going to be exciting for it, I'm sure. And we also know that these photovoltaic panels are not surviving. They're not intended to. We're going to be ditching our entire trunk section here. So that'll be okay. We've got 50 seconds until this burn. 40, 30, 20. Actually, we're technically in atmosphere right now, which does make sense. And that does mean that we probably should just begin this burn at this point. This is absolutely fine. So let's bring this right on down. And as soon as we're completed with this burn, we are going to be ditching our trunk section. It is unnecessary. We're bringing back this Clampetron docking port Junior and hoping to recover it. We'll see if that ends up happening or if it burns off. It should probably be okay, though. Okay, so we're going to continue burning here. Yep, this is absolutely okay. Let's just flip around to retrograde. Thank you very much. Although, I want to ditch that guy, and having it go out in this direction is kind of convenient for us because now, in theory, we should have no chance of actually colliding with it. So that's great. Off it goes. Even if it starts to slow down slower than us, which it may or may not do, I don't think it will. But even if it does, we have absolutely no chance of colliding. So, excellent. Downward we go. And this should be a relatively straightforward re-entry. However, this docking port might be mildly awkward. We'll see. For the moment, we can definitely move this guy on up. But then we can do... These are drogues and mains? Yes. So that looks solid. So let's warp on through here. I'm actually surprised that this is going this slowly. We're still at 57 kilometers. Okay. Well, to be clear, the reason for this is because we decided to take it carefully. There's not really a fantastic reason for doing that other than, procedure, and this is how they would definitely try to do it in real life, as safely as possible. Not saying this exact technique, but they would attempt to do it as safely as possible. So downward we come here. We're definitely starting to slow on down. We are hoping to see a land landing here with these Soyuzes, and it's looking good for that so far. We're definitely losing a lot of horizontal speed, down to 1,800 meters per second. Keeping an eye on our attitude here. And there goes some of our trunk section burning up in the atmosphere. Our attitude is drifting off. I'm going to take us out of physics warp for the moment. 1,200 meters per second. And let's just be at surface velocity minus. That'll be absolutely fine. Cool. Definitely going to be a land landing here then. I like it. We're still pretty high up, to be honest. But let's get this drogue chute out. And now we can physics warp. Fantastic. Mains out. It's going to be a nice and safe city landing. No, we're going to be landing on the outskirts of this quote-unquote city. That's probably for the best. Landing inside of the city is not necessarily great. And downward we go. Cool. So we're about 3 kilometers up. Now we're about 2 kilometers up. Drogue chutes deploy. Main chutes will be deploying now. And 6 meters per second. Not too bad. 700 meters to go. Continuing to physics warp our way on down. 500 meters. 400, and it's times like this where we wish we could physics warp faster than 4x in KSP1. That is, of course, not an option, unless you install a mod for it. I believe there is a mod for that, but I would have questions about its stability. The physics simulation is unstable enough under 4x physics warp. I would struggle to see how it would do under more than 4x physics warp. That would be spooky. So our Soyuz is here. We're going to recover that. That, of course, means that we can get ourselves payment for this flight. And then we're also going to be able to get ourselves payment for our other Soyuz once we bring that back. Our space shuttle, once we bring that back. And we're going to get payment for the overall Mir program once we deorbit it. So we've got a fair amount of payment coming in here. We're definitely a little bit bled out on the payments due to space shuttle development shenanigans. That was fairly expensive, no doubt about that, but it's okay. No problem whatsoever. So we're going to bring this on back. We do get a payment for this flight, so we're going to add in our payment for that. Phenomenal. And then, of course, we're going to need to bring back our space shuttle. It is about time to put a cut in here, though, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to bring back our space shuttle, we're going to bring back our Soyuz, and hopefully deorbit the Mir, all in the same episode. We'll see how that goes. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.